The glass vault. I never wanted to come back to Whitmore House, especially not with the taste of dread already coating my tongue. Rain hammered the cliffs. The night I drove up the private road, my rental car's headlights cutting weak tunnels through the downpour. 2 days earlier, my father had fallen, or God forbid, been pushed from the terrace. Why did I even think that? The estate loomed ahead, all glass and stone, its illuminated walls promising transparency while hiding decades of rot. I gripped the wheel tighter. Something was wrong. I could feel it in the static between my shoulder blades, the way the wind seemed to whisper warnings. Evelyn met me at the door, elegant in black, her perfume a fragile shield against grief. She hugged me too hard, her fingers digging into my shoulders. "They ruled it an accident," she whispered. "A slip in the storm." I pulled away. The cameras were offline for exactly 43 minutes. "That's not weather, Mom. That's someone covering their tracks." Her eyes darted toward the shadows of the hallway. "Clara, please, not here, not yet." The fear in her voice lodged in my chest like a splinter. She knew more than she was saying. They all did. That night, I lay in my old bedroom listening to the house settle. Every creak sounded like footsteps. Every gust of wind, like a man breathing behind the glass. Join us weekly for our Stories of Vengeance narratives. You can help us spread our stories by subscribe, like, and share. The will reading felt like a trap set in slow motion. Damon presided from father's leather chair, polished and predatory at 44. His smile never reached his eyes. Lydia sat beside him, twisting a handkerchief she didn't need, her debts and desperation written in the tightness around her mouth. Marcus Hale read the terms in a monotone that couldn't disguise the injustice. Damon got control. Lydia got crumbs. I got the study and a pat on the head for my integrity. As the meeting ended, Damon caught my gaze. "The liquid assets are lighter than expected," he said smoothly. "Markets, you know." I smiled back, but inside, my pulse hammered. I had already seen the discrepancies in the preliminary filings. Millions gone, patterns too precise for coincidence. That night, I locked myself in the study and tore through the books. The theft was elegant. Damon's fingerprints were everywhere if you knew where to look. I copied files onto a hidden drive, heart racing every time the old floorboards groaned overhead. When I finally slipped into bed near dawn, I wedged a chair under the doorknob. Sleep never came, only the certainty that I was being watched. The letter arrived 4 days later by private courier. My name in Father's jagged script. Inside, one line that stopped my breath. The real inheritance was never in the will. A brass key rested beneath it, etched with the Whitmore pride. On the back, "For the daughter who sees numbers." My hands shook as I turned it over. This wasn't grief. This was a warning. I waited until dusk, then drove to the abandoned shipyard with the key burning in my pocket. Fog rolled off the ocean, turning rusted hulks into monsters. The warehouse office looked untouched, but fresh footprints marred the mud near the door. I froze, listening. Nothing but wind. I slipped inside. The key turned. Stairs descended into darkness. I flipped on my flashlight and moved down, every step echoing like a gunshot. At the bottom, a climate controlled vault hummed to life under motion sensors. Glass cases, shelves of ledgers, bearer bonds, offshore codes, certificates for paintings hidden in Geneva. And the proof? Hundreds of pages detailing Damon's 6-year siphon of nearly $200 million. I photographed frantically, my breath shallow. Then I heard it. The soft scrape of the outer door above footsteps slow. Deliberate? "Clara?" Damon's voice drifted down, velvet over steel. "I saw your car. Come out. We're family. We can fix this together." I killed the light and pressed into a shadowed alcove, the vault's chill seeping through my coat. He descended 3 steps, flashlight sweeping. The beam passed inches from my shoes. My heart slammed so hard I was sure he could hear it. One more step, and a distant car horn blared on the road. Damon cursed softly and retreated. The outer door slammed. I waited 10 full minutes before bolting up the stairs, legs shaking, and drove away with headlights off until I hit the highway. The affair had begun in 1996 like a slow poison. I pieced it together in fragments over the next few days. Hidden letters in the vault. Mother's broken confessions. Dates that matched old arguments. I.D. overheard as a child. Father met Isabel Bell during a brutal fight over a shipping expansion. She was fierce, brilliant, unafraid. Their affair lasted 18 months. Nora arrived in 1997. Father had kept her secret for decades, but guilt had hollowed him. Evelyn knew almost immediately. She stayed for the image, for us, for the empire built on lies. He was going to change the will, Mother admitted. One midnight in the solarium, voice barely above the rain. He wanted to acknowledge Nora. Damon found out. That's when the real stealing began. I asked the question that terrified me. Did Damon know about the terrace confrontation? Her silence was answer enough. I left her there, staring at the cliffs where my father died, and checked every lock in the house twice. Damon's counterattack came fast and vicious. Estate documents vanished. Edited footage surfaced showing me sneaking files at night. Lydia turned on me in a tearful phone call, voice cracking with betrayal and debt. Fueled rage. Damon's the only one protecting us. You are tearing everything apart because you were always jealous. I changed motels twice in 24 hours. Jonas Reed, the fired security chief, contacted me through a burner. Your brother had me erase the terrace footage, he whispered. Said it was just damage control. Then I saw the transfers. He'll kill you if you keep digging, Clara. Get out. He sent the original logs anyway. Damon's keycard on the terrace at 11:17 a.m. p.m. Father's fall at 11:29 a.m. Proof. But proof gets people killed. The break-in happened on Thursday. I returned to my latest motel with cheap coffee and found the door ajar. Inside, my laptop was gone. Drawers emptied. Mattress slashed. They had missed the external drive taped beneath the sink, only because I'd grown paranoid enough to hide it in the toilet tank. I sat on the bathroom floor. Gun I'd bought that afternoon, clutched in both hands, listening for footsteps in the hall. Every creak made me flinch. I didn't sleep. I barely breathed. By morning I knew. The board meeting tomorrow was my last chance. After that, I would disappear. Or die. The boardroom felt like a cage. Damon stood at the head of the long table, radiating control. It is with deep regret that I move to declare Clara unfit and remove her from any claim. Her delusions are destabilizing the company and our family. Nods around the table. Lydia stared at her hands. Mother looked ready to shatter. I walked forward, carrying one binder, every nerve screaming. My hidden drive was already feeding evidence to Marcus's secure server. If I went down, it would still broadcast. I have a counter. Motion, I said, voice low but steady. Full disclosure. I opened the binder, ledgers, transfers, the raw security footage, photos from the vault, audio of Damon ordering accountants to bury discrepancies, and Father's final letter, detailing the affair, his guilt, his plan to acknowledge Nora, and his terror of what Damon had become. The temperature in the room plummeted. Damon's mask slipped. This is forgery. She's been unstable. Stop lying. Lydia's voice cracked like thin ice. I saw the alerts. You promised to fix my debts if I stayed quiet. You used me. You pushed him, didn't you? The words just hung there. Chaos erupted. Chairs scraped. Voices rose. Damon lunged for the binder. I stepped back, heart in my throat. New security men I had hired through Marcus moved in. In that frozen second, I looked my brother in the eyes. You didn't just steal money. You stole his chance to make it right. Then you took his life to keep your secret. The original terrace footage began playing on the screen behind him. Damon's roar of denial filled the room as they dragged him away. Rain lashed the windows like applause. I watched through the glass as they put him in the car. His face twisted with pure animal hatred. He mouthed something I couldn't hear. I didn't need to. I already knew the threat. Nora arrived 6 days later. We met on the terrace in the weak afternoon sun. She was 29, sharp-eyed, carrying none of our family's polished poison. The wind whipped between us like an accusation. "I don't want any of it," she said. "I know," I replied. "That's why he gave you the coastal development. The one clean thing in all this rot." She stared at the cliffs where her father had died. Did he love my mother? In his way, enough to destroy everything else, trying to keep it secret. We stood in silence, broken only by gulls and waves. Eventually, she agreed to environmental oversight of the project. Nothing more. I didn't blame her. I became a trustee, not an owner. I cleaned what could be cleaned. Mother began painting again. Lydia started treatment and tentative conversations. The Whitmore name cracked open in every local headline, but the fortune smaller, harder, honest, survived. Some nights I still walk the terrace. I remember the brass key I dropped into the surf the day after Damon's arrest. I remember the vault's cold breath on my neck and the sound of my brother's footsteps on those stairs. I remember how close I came, again and again, to becoming just another Whitmore secret buried on the rocks below. Greed doesn't just corrode families, it hunts them. And secrets always demand their final payment. In blood, in fear, or in the slow unraveling of every lie we told ourselves to survive. The glass house stands empty of illusion now. And for the first time, I am no longer afraid inside it.